Hello and welcome to the DCG development update. My name is Balázs, and we are here with the DCG teams. We are here with the core team. We are here with the platform teams. We are here with Brian from representing the mobile team. And we are going to have a 1-hour session today. And we are going to spend some time reflecting on your questions and feedbacks that you give us in the live chat below. So please feel free to start a conversation. If you prefix your question with a Q or a question, that would help me to realize that it is indeed a question for us and not just a discussion in the chat. So what else do we have before we jump in? I guess.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, exactly. So let's jump right into it. Are you ready? Okay, let me find the screen sharing first. It is not easy when you minimize the window. Yeah, screen share. And here you go. I hope you can see my screen share. And let's jump in.
Sure.
Start with the platform team.
Yep. So first, for testing and fixes, we had Igor, Sam, which is me, and Ivan. Basically, we found a few different bugs. We fixed a few things here and there, and we're going to get into the fixes. We'll present the major issues and the smaller issues that we found. Wisdom continued on state sync. Ivan worked on acid locks. Lukasz worked on the Rust SDK. Me and Igor worked on queries, and we're going to talk a lot about queries today. And Evgeny and Paul DeLucia worked on the platform text user interface or terminal interface.
Actually, Igor works on asset locks as well as me.
Oh, sorry. Igor was also on acid locks. Slight mistake. So sorry, Igor. Didn't mean to leave you out there. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to start with two issues to get them out of the way and tell people what like these big issues that we solved that were actually causing, platform to potentially stop. The first one is when we wanted to have a proof for an anti-merc tree, basically it didn't work. And yeah, this was actually not very visible because it's very rare to try to prove, to have an absence proof for an empty tree, right? So like most of our tests just didn't cover this. Finally, we found it when, we asked for a document, but there was no document created, or we asked for a contract, but there was no contracts at all in the system. And yeah, now this has been fixed, and it immediately, then we wrote a lot of tests. We had a lot of tests actually already written, and then we just added a few more, and everything works. Like all the proofs now work. And this is very apparent with the upgraded query system that I'll get into later. The next issue was actually about 2 weeks ago, but this one was a very major one. This actually caused platform to go down very often. It was the cache protocol version issue. So basically what happens is that on every single block, a protocol version is added. Like the proposer says, I want to propose that the protocol version that I want is protocol version 2. Like maybe that proposer wants to upgrade to version 2. So, they propose something and it gets added to a cache. And there's a cache basically because it as an optimization, because you don't want to have to query the disk all the time. What was sadly happening is that it was added to the cache even if the block was rejected. And that can happen, right? So in the case of a rejected block, maybe the block timed out or there's something, an issue with the block. Well, it was still added to the state, to the cache. And this basically meant that whenever we went to round 2 for a specific block height, we would see problems. Sometimes we would see like 1 or 2 nodes have leave consensus. And, it's been an issue that we've had for a very long time. So we made the fix. It was merged in about 10 days ago. And then after that, we released a platform version that basically seemed to have no issues. And that ran for quite some time before we had to take it down because of a core upgrade. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy about this fix and that we found it and that it's merged in. And because this one was giving a lot of us a lot of headaches. Okay, let's move on. Yes, so queries. So we've obviously had queries a lot for a very long time. The queries that we've had are things like get me a contract or get a document for a contract. What else do we have? Get an identity, stuff like that. But our queries were not actually versioned. So that meant that if we were going to upgrade to make the query a little bit different, like return a different information or something that would change over time, there would be a big problem. So now all the queries are versioned. It means that old clients will always work for like a deprecation period, and that's really really nice for production level software. And during this time, we also fixed some issues with contract history query. So there are historical contracts that you can keep all versions of the contract in the state, and you can query the different versions. And there were some bugs with that query, and testing things a little bit more, we fixed them. And we introduced 3 new queries: upgrade vote state, Evo node upgrade vote status, and epoch info. Now I'm going to get more into these 3 queries on the next slides because they're actually very interesting. All the new queries can be work with proofs or without proofs. So generally, it's recommended to use proved queries, but sometimes if you want to make things really easy for yourself, you can just query and trust the mass node that you're querying, but it's better to use proofs. Okay, so upgrade vote state. So you ask the system for the status of an upgrade. So let's imagine we are going to version 2 on the network. The idea is basically that different Evo nodes are going to be voting for the version that they want. They're going to, let's say they want to vote to go to version 2. And we want to know, maybe shout out to all the different services that exist out there that can that show information about our network. They'd all be interested in this. So we could have, they can basically just query platform and say, okay, the version, the upgrade is going well. Most Evo nodes have upgraded and are voting for the new version. And you can see that. And this can also be a proof query. The next query is very similar, but it basically is the Evo node upgrade vote status. And this is more if you want to know what any specific node voted for in the system. yeah, so you can say give me this ProTX hash, start from here and give me 100. Or you can just leave ProTX hash empty and give me 100, and we'll start from the first one in the list. And basically, yeah, we'll give you all the versions that anybody has voted for. And you can only query 100 at a time. So if you want to do, let's say there are 400 Evo nodes available, you can basically do 4 queries, and you get back all the different versions that everybody's voted for. Okay, next one. Now this one's really fun. It's epoch infos, and this is actually very good to know like how our network is doing. You can query and say, okay, give me historical epoch information, and it will give you back the start time of the epoch, the start height of the epoch, the start core block height, meaning the height of core when the epoch started, and the phi multiplier used during that epoch. We might add some more information right now. It has these 4 fields, but we'll most likely add version and a few more fields as time goes on. Ascending can also be set to false. Sorry, one last thing. We could set ascending to false and put no epoch index, and then you basically will get the current epoch information. So some pretty cool new queries to know information about platform. Okay, Ivan, you want to take it over for asset locks?
Yep, I will. Thank you, man. So asset locks, what is this? To fund identities and unique and mint credits on the platform chain, you need to lock some dash on payment chain. That's how it always worked. Previously, we used the normal transaction because historically we didn't have asset locks special transaction done in core. So we use normal transaction with operation and public key there. So you broadcast the normal transaction and create a proof. We call it asset lock proof that this transaction is actually locked and dash is locked, and then you create identity create or identity top up the transition with this proof and broadcast it to the network. And system verifies that asset locks is actually exist. There are 2 types of proofs. The one is instant asset lock proof. So it contains the instant lock of the transaction itself. So this is needed for the instant funding of credits on the platform chain. And another one, more like the fallback, when your transaction is already mined and chain locked, you create the chain asset lock proof with the out point to the transaction and your output and the height where this transaction was chain locked. Yes, and what we did here. So since core version 20 implemented the asset lock special transaction, we migrated our system to the new special transactions and revisited all the validation and all the logic around it. So first of all, we introduced the asset lock special transactions in the JavaScript dashboard library because JavaScript SDK still use this, and made a quick fix there to make sure it's working. to get proper outpoint buffer. Previously, it was invalid. So Dash core library the new version was released, and this new major version. 1 second, please. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and also we updated the SDK, JavaScript SDK, test suite, drive ABCI to use this new transaction, like including DPP. It was a lot of work around this, and we fixed many issues around. For example, we noticed that identity create transition has wrong fees, like fee against balance validation. So it gave you opportunity to register identity twice cheaper than it actually should be. And also we found the chain hold issue in core related to the asset logs, thanks to core guys to fix that. We complete the validation logic for proofs and implemented missing signature validation for identity create and top-up transition. The signature validation will be different from other state transitions because we use the one-time secret key that allow you to basically make invitation to other people. So you can create one-time private key, sign it, put the public key of this key to the asset log transaction, and then you should sign, identity create, or top up this private key. So that's how we match that actually you locked this money. So that was done as well. Yep, we're very proud of it. Dashmate, yeah, during this work, we fixed some Dashmate issues and added a few features. So, for example, our infra team long time requested the new configuration options for the core service, so you can set the command arguments like like dash RPC port or whatever, and have kind of customization on top of the dash d config created by Dashmate. That's very convenient in case if you're doing some edge case testing with core and using Dashmate for that. Daniel, I hope you will be happy with it. So we also added Docker build Dashmate Docker build command. It builds all the Docker images in Dashmate for specific config. This is very convenient for other part of our work. In CI, we preparing right now some pre-build steps. So we building stuff only once, and then we use the results. In this case, we will reuse the layer cache of the Docker images in the further runs. Yeah, it was a bug in the reset command. It took me a few hours actually to realize that this is a bug. So after reset, the Dashmate local network just stopped building images from the sources. Yeah, and we recently introduced migration tests for the Dashmate config. There are some issues, and we're working on fixing them. This work in progress. Thank you. Sam, will you proceed?
You're on mute if you are talking. Sam?
Oops. Here I am. Yes. So, when I was talking about queries before, it wasn't completely obvious probably when I was talking like, oh, why did we do this work? Why did we version queries? Why are we adding these new queries? Well, it's really to make our Rust SDK a little bit more powerful, and the JavaScript SDK as well. That's been the biggest focus. Well, it's been a very big focus in the last 2 weeks to get this SDK like up and running and really working pretty well. So in that vein, yeah, we've made the queries better, and then we integrated them into the Rust SDK. So in the Rust SDK, there are a lot of new requests that are possible. Get identity balance and revision all together. Generally, you'd want to do like a get identity balance and revision to see if there's any reason to go fetching new keys. You know, instead of if the revision has changed, that means that you have new keys potentially, and then you can go get more information for the keys that you have. It's a much quicker thing. Normally, you know, on your client, most people use like their identity in just one app, most likely, or you know, the keys don't change very often. So that's why we have a revision. And generally, you just when you first query your system, the system, you just want your balance. That's why that query exists. Yeah, and then get identity keys. You can do a search for different types of keys, different types of security levels. Get identity by public key hash. That's in the case that you're having a BIP32 based wallet, like a hierarchical is it HD wallet, basically. And you have the first key that would be that you know was registered for an identity, but you don't actually know the identity because you're restarting from the seed phrase. Yeah, you can get your identity by the public key hash, and that's why that one's important. Then we have get identity balance is there twice. What? How did that happen? Oops. Anyways, there's probably another one then that was mistaken. I'm filling in for Lukasz right now, who couldn't make it. So then Lukasz also worked on many improvements for the proof verification. He found a lot of issues that we solved. That we talked about the issue, the first issue that we talked about before that we solved, and added a lot of test vectors. And the Rust SDK is pretty much ready to be merged in. It's just in review. Like I'm reviewing it at the moment, and I didn't have time. I was really hoping to have this merged in so everything could be said to be done, but no, we'll probably merge it in either later today or tomorrow. But this is actually an amazing achievement to have the Rust SDK, because now then we can use it for the terminal interface and get a lot of cool stuff done there. Okay, let's move on to the terminal interface. Am I taking this? I don't know, actually. It's not that much. So yeah, sure, I'll take it. So identity registration is still in progress. I had just started that, but I didn't continue. I put that a little bit on pause until we had a few other things done. We needed a BIP37 Bloom filter Rust implementation. And that was done by Evgeny. So that's some nice work there. We also, he worked also on some platform monitoring tools that kind of work with the 3 other queries that we made. And then Paul DeLucia came in and helped us, and he did strategy creation for the text user interface. And this is basically going to be used for stress testing the network. And that's, yeah, that's going to be fun. And he made a little demo video for us. Can you play that, Bosch?
Yeah, I need to reshare.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure if I'm sharing the the
I
sound.
think you are.
Let me check. Share computer sound, possibly.
From research, I'm going to show you the strategy testing part of the terminal user interface.
Can you hear Paul?
Yep, we can hear it.
Wonderful.
For platform. I've been working on the strategy testing part, and Sam and Evgeny have been working on the other parts. So this the strategy testing part of the app will allow you to basically configure tests to run on platform for the purpose of stress testing platform. And it lets you do a whole ton of different operations and stuff. So yeah, we're internally going to be using this a lot to stress test the network. And yeah, I guess you can feel free to use it as well yourself. And I think the terminal user interface will it's going to have uses for normal users, but other than testing strategies. I think like just submitting contracts and documents and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. But yeah, so you can clone the RS Platform Explorer from -pay GitHub, clone it to your local repo, go to that and do cargo run. It's a Rust project, so we do cargo run. This is the home page. So you're going to press S to go to strategies. And from here, you press R to run a strategy. And it will display the strategies that you have saved already. These are just default hard-coded strategies that I have in for testing purposes now. This isn't 100% complete, but so like right now strategies aren't saving and loading, but I'm gonna fix that tomorrow. I'm gonna implement that tomorrow. But yeah, so basically you'll just hit run and select the strategy, hit enter. You'll see some info about the strategy, and then you hit confirm, C for confirm, and it should submit the strategy and run it on platform. And I guess it will probably give you we'll print out some like results of how it went and stuff, maybe some timestamps and stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. If you hit C, you can create and edit. So okay, you have new and load. If you do load, you'll see the same screen. You can select whatever strategies you have saved. Let's hit enter on this one. It loads default strategy 1 and its fields. The bold ones are keys. This is the value. And after you load a strategy, from here you can rename it, edit it, clone it. If you clone default strategy 1, it basically just copies the fields, and then you type in a new name, say let's say Paul. So now it's Paul, and it's, if you have these fields like populated with a lot of operations and stuff, then it's you can just clone it, and then you can edit it if you want to just make some small change. So that's good. And then delete, you can delete strategies if you want for whatever reason. So let's do new. I'll do new. New is just a blank strategy and rename it. I'll do Sam. And let's see, let's edit it. So from here, you can edit the fields, contracts, operations, start identities, identity inserts. Contracts with updates basically are, you can submit, for example, like the Dash Pay contract, and it will register the Dash Pay contract on testnet, and then you can, along with that, register contracts that are like updated versions, and I guess it will update the contract in the next block or something. I'm not 100% sure how it works. I think Sam wrote all the logic for the actual strategies and how it works with platform. So yeah, let's do that. Contracts, you can add Dash Pay contract 1. Would you like to add an update? Yes. We'll add this first update. Would you like to add another? We'll say no. And then you can see it's added here. If you press R, remove last, it just removes the last contract with update. So it will remove this whole thing. We'll add one more, say add just contract with Dash Pay contract. See, it gets appended here. You can just R to remove it. Go back, identity, yeah, identity inserts, add, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to explain what all of the operations do. That would waste people's time, but I guess maybe we should, I don't think we have good documentation on what everything does. Maybe that is something that I will do when I get back from vacation in a few weeks, or somebody else maybe wants to take it up. Yeah. So operations, there's a ton of operations, and yeah, there's a lot of different stuff you can do with this. So hopefully this will allow us to stress test platform really well. And yeah, if you have any questions immediately, I'm not going to be at this meetings because that's why I'm recording it now, but ask Sam, and you can ask me, send me a message on Discord or whatever, and I'll get back to you when I'm back at my desk. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank
Okay,
you,
that was
Paul.
cool. That was cool. I wanted to add a few things that he didn't like stress as much. What you can do is basically you easily can create like thousands of documents over thousands of contracts, and you just say in advance, okay, for one block I want to register 10,000 different contracts, 10,000 documents for each contract, and you just press enter, and then it basically tries to do that by sending all the documents out to all the different Evo nodes on the system, basically to almost simulate a like massive amount of usage. And this is fine, right? So our network should be able to handle it. People, I mean, some people have asked, oh, what would happen if somebody used this tool on mainnet? And I'd be like, great, fees, thank you. we like your money. It's not a problem. The way the fees system works would always make it profitable for the Evo nodes. So we want people to use this tool on mainnet. Go and have fun. Spam the network if you want. It's cost based, so it would be very good for well, the network will just get a lot of fees. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the results of the stress test, and that's what we're working towards, to get stress testing done in a few weeks. I mean, not done in a few weeks, starting in a few weeks. Anyways, let's move on to
To
GrowDB.
GrowDB.
Hey guys.
Wisdom. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Wisdom from GraphDB. So Sam talked about the first point briefly, where we discovered the bug in the proof system. It's a very, very rare case in the sense that you need to be asking for a proof for something that does not exist, and that thing must be in something that doesn't exist, and that must not be in an empty tree. So it's like you have an empty tree, then something that's invalid, and then something else that's invalid. So you need like 2 invalid keys at least in order to recreate this bug. And that was why I guess we missed it, but now we found it and we have fixed it. Very simple fix actually. Then GraphDB state sync. So we just had the ability to limit based on the bytes. So Dash is going to tell us that, okay, we want the chunks to just be 16 megabytes maximum. But now while doing the GraphDB implementation, realize that we don't just want that, we also want to limit based on the bytes and also based on the key. So GraphDB has like, I don't know how to explain without going too deep, but it has like boundaries, chunk boundaries, and then you want to limit based on. So from a starting point, you want to limit based on the boundary and also based on a byte size. So whichever one you get first, that is the one that is going to enforce the truncation of the chunk. So this was needed because of the multi-tree chunks, whereby you're having chunks that cut across multiple mercs at a time. So you can think of the entire GraphDB state as a triangle, where the top of the triangle is like the roots, and then the bottom is has a lot of elements. So the multi-tree chunks is like a line that goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. So it kind of like touches different parts of mercs, and it might touch them in so you need to do it in such a way that the lines don't overlap. And that is where the element-based limit now comes in. So there's a duplication here, the faster tree verification, the third point, we can ignore that, and then just go to the design the resumption logic. So right now, I've been trying to design the resumption logic for a couple of days now. It's actually like really difficult. Even the last problem, the multi-tree chunks, was extremely difficult also. But for the resumption logic, so one thing that showed was that we needed a faster way to do tree verification. So right now, the merge verify does a lot of things that is not really needed for the resumption logic. So right now, what we mostly care about is just the hash verification. So we don't need to do certain checks that we were checking before. That's specifically for the tree verification. We'll still do that when we're doing the verify GraphDB. So I implemented a faster way to do tree verification as one piece that is needed for the resumption logic. And I'm still designing the other parts of it, and that is basically still in progress. So that's the update on the state sync. And I think we move to the core team.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. And you are right. Let's move on to the core team.
Hello, guys. Quick V19 mainnet status. So we are still at 80 even nodes. So still the Q167 are keep forming since the minimum size is 80. The development of V20 is considered done. We are feature complete with the list of the features implemented found on this slide. We are currently at release candidate number 2. Pasta is going to talk a little bit later regarding the final rollout of the release. Now we are at testnet phase. We are still under, so we reorganized the network basically in order to refork and test everything again. The next step would be to reactivate v20 soon. I would say today or tomorrow. Most of the nodes are running RC2. We are expecting to test the superblock payments since I remind you that one of the v20 features is the integration of Sentinel logic inside of core. Small word regarding v21 development. Well, the shared mass nodes feature is frozen at the moment. It will be resumed once v20 is out. Pasta, could you take over from now?
Yeah, thanks, Odie. I think you covered everything I wanted to on this slide, so go ahead and hop to the next slide and I'll quickly run through. So this is the nice big list of PRs that have been merged in the last 2 weeks. I'm definitely not going through everything here, but if you want, you can pause it and take a look. On a very, very high level, we had beta 5, 6, and 7 all released about a week and a half ago. We then had RC1 released. After that, we had beta 8 and 9. Those were some kind of rapid releases to deploy onto some of our testnet nodes. And now today we have released RC2. And so testnet is upgrading to RC2. It fixes some potential issues with governance, and especially when we reorganized testnet, we saw some issues in governance, and it was causing some issues on testnet that wouldn't happen on mainnet. They only really were a result of the massive reorg that we did on testnet. But anyway, there are issues that kind of should be fixed, and so we have done those, and RC2 is rolling out now. All right, let's go ahead and hop over to the next slide, and I'll talk about timelines just a little bit here. We started the release of RC1 and reorganization of testnet, as this shows, around October 20th. We're now at the point where we are getting ready to actually activate the hard fork. So we've been testing stuff for the past while on testnet and creating these fixes. Like Odie said, probably today or tomorrow we will be releasing, or we will be actually activating the hard fork. And at this point, we have gone into a hard feature freeze. Technically, I guess it begins tomorrow, but pretty much we are in a hard feature freeze. There are no new PRs that are going to be opened for version 20 that are, any kind of features or anything like that. And we're kind of beginning the release process here. We do still have testing to do on testnet, and I will not be surprised if the final release date shown here of the 13th slips a little bit, but I do think that could still be a realistic timeline, but it is a little tight, so just keep that in mind. All right, I think we can move on to mobile.
Thank you very much, Pasta. Brian, would you kick us off with mobile?
I can. So on the next slide, we have the Android work. So we had a small crash fix that we did. We finished the upgrade to Core 20 for DashPay. CrowdNode made some improvements on their end, on their API, so that we can have more precise withdrawals as well. So prior to this improvement, the withdrawals were coming through slightly different than what was submitted. So this is a nice improvement there. Continued work on CoinJoin. The battery optimization settings. It's Android specific, and it's not just for CoinJoin, but it's probably one of the major needs for it. And we started our background processes as well. And then there's the FFI macro testing, which that's going to be kind of a continued effort that goes hand in hand with the work that the iOS team is doing on those Rust macros. On iOS, I had a fairly hefty backlog, mainly because of the decision on the Core 20 activation or acceleration. So we had to put the Rust library work, the FFI macro work aside to prioritize getting up to date on Core. And then a small bug on sending was fixed, and the UI work surrounding the different settings that we have for the CoinJoin work. And we started on the username voting, just the UI side for now. And there's some translations that we had to get into the CrowdNote UI. And that covers us for mobile.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all the teams for the updates. We have one question as far as I can see. Two. Let's start with the first one. So I think I saw identity transfer and identity withdrawal on the TUI. When JS SDK? Also some work on the JS SDK improvements.
I didn't
Whatever we
understand
planned.
the question. What was the question?
When will we add identity credit transfer and credit withdrawals to JavaScript SDK?
Oh, do we not have them? I don't know that actually.
No, not yet. We don't expose APIs at the moment.
Well, probably sometime in November then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a vacation as well, starting next week, starting tomorrow actually. So probably after that, we could put this into our.
All right, thank you very much.
Actually, identity transfer is already implemented. Sorry, the credit transfer. There is a method platform dot identities dot credit transfer.
Oh, it actually is true. Yeah, there is a credit transfer method in SDK.
You just don't have withdrawals.
And also the withdrawals, are they actually working at all in try?
No, withdrawals not ready. So we don't.
Let's not talk about things that are hurt ourselves. Yeah, withdrawals are definitely going to be something that we're working on in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the finishing, the final touches. Would be great to see testnet support in the Dash mobile backlog.
I'm assuming he means. Yeah, I could take this one. So we're actually, as was mentioned earlier, what's going on with the upgrade on testnet. We're on the mobile team monitoring that and verifying our changes as well. So we do already have builds for Dash Wallet, both on iOS and Android for this testing. We don't usually, well, I take that back. Sorry, on iOS it does. It's just part of the wallet to toggle back and forth. But we usually don't provide testnet Dash Wallet builds unless someone specifically wants one, which is not a problem. We can do that once we've verified everything and testnet is stable. So, yes.
All right, Shambi asking what exactly is missing in the SDK. I'm not sure if we answered that already.
In the JavaScript SDK or the Rust SDK?
I guess as we were talking about JS SDK, it's referring to, but anyway, you can reach out reach us in Discord and Slack. Let us know if you have further questions for that. All right. Do we have anything else? Thanks for the info. Thanks everybody for joining and having some conversation with us. And hopefully we see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Wish everybody a great rest of the day. Cheers.
And scary night.